Hey affiliates, ready to dive into some amazing adventures? Like, literally dive? Okay, maybe not literally, but you know what I mean. Today, we're counting down the top 5 most popular and highly sought-after book series you absolutely have to add to your reading list. And trust me, guys, I know how hard it is to find a good book series. It's like you finally find a character you connect with, a world you want to live in, and bam, it's over. One book, done. The worst. So that's why we're focusing on series today. Because who needs closure? Am I right? Okay, let's get started. Okay, starting off strong, we have the one, the only. Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. I mean, come on, is this even a surprise? It's basically the holy grail of book series, right? Like, if you haven't read it, what are you even doing with your life? I remember when I first started reading Harry Potter, it was like stepping into a whole new world. Literally. I was obsessed with everything from the characters, like Hermione, my girl, to the spells, to the magical creatures. I even tried to make my own butterbeer once. Spoiler alert, it did not go well. But, like, can we just talk about Hogwarts for a sec? I mean, who wouldn't want to go to a school for witchcraft and wizardry? The moving staircases, the floating candles, the secret passages. It's literally the coolest school ever. And don't even get me started on the characters. They're so well developed, so complex, so relatable. Even though they're, like, witches and wizards, you still feel their struggles, you know? Plus, the storyline is just, it's got everything. Adventure, romance, humor, suspense. Like, you're laughing one minute, crying the next, and then throwing the book across the room because the suspense is too much. It's a roller coaster of emotions, but in the best way possible. Seriously though, if you haven't read Harry Potter yet, what are you waiting for? Go. Run to the bookstore, buy all the books, lock yourself in your room, and don't come out until you finish them all. You won't regret it. Next up, we've got a series that's a little bit darker, a little bit more intense, but just as amazing. The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This series is not for the faint of heart, guys. It's gritty, it's raw, and it will definitely keep you on the edge of your seat. The Hunger Games is set in this dystopian future where, like, everything is terrible. There are these 12 districts controlled by this super oppressive capital, and every year they hold this brutal competition called, you guessed it, the Hunger Games. And our girl Katniss Everdeen, she volunteers as tribute to save her little sister, which is like the most selfless thing ever. And then she gets thrown into this arena with a bunch of other kids and has to fight to the death. It's brutal. But what I love about the Hunger Games is that it's not just about the violence. It's about so much more than that. It's about survival, it's about love, it's about rebellion, it's about the human spirit, you know? Plus, Katniss is such a badass. She's strong, she's independent, she's not afraid to fight for what she believes in. She's definitely someone I would want on my side in a fight, or, like, in a zombie apocalypse. And the world building in the Hunger Games is insane. Suzanne Collins creates this world that's both believable and terrifying. It's like, you can totally see how something like this could happen, which is kind of scary to think about. Overall, The Hunger Games is one of those series that will stay with you long after you finish reading it. It's thought-provoking, it's emotional, and it's definitely worth a read. Okay, so for our next pick, we're going even deeper into the fantasy world with A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. You guys, this is like the OG Game of Thrones, which if you haven't seen the show, you should probably stop watching this video right now and go binge watch it. But also, like, come back, because we have a lot more to talk about. Okay, so A Song of Ice and Fire is epic fantasy at its finest. We're talking intricate plots, complex characters, political intrigue, dragons, magic, the whole shebang. It's set in this medieval-esque world called Westeros, and it follows like a million different characters and their stories. Seriously, there are so many characters, it's kind of insane. But somehow, George R.R. Martin manages to make you care about all of them. Well, most of them. Okay, some of them are kind of terrible, but that's what makes it so good. And the plot twists. Don't even get me started on the plot twists. Just when you think you know what's going to happen, George R.R. Martin throws a curveball and completely blows your mind. I mean, seriously, I've never read a series that's kept me guessing like this one. But be warned, this series is not for the faint of heart. It's dark, it's gritty, and there's a lot of violence. Like, a lot. But if you can handle it, it's so worth it. The world building is incredible, the characters are unforgettable, and the story is just epic. All right, let's lighten things up a bit with Percy Jackson and the Olympians by Riordan. This series is perfect for anyone who's ever been obsessed with Greek mythology, which, let's be real, is everyone, right? I mean, who doesn't love reading about Zeus and Hera and Poseidon and all those other crazy gods and goddesses? And in Percy Jackson, they're not just characters in a book, they're like real people. Or, well, real gods. You know what I mean. The series follows Percy Jackson, who finds out he's the son of Poseidon, the god of the sea. Which, like, how cool is that? But it also means he's got a target on his back because, apparently, being a demigod is not all sunshine and rainbows. Percy ends up going to Camp Half-Blood, which is this camp for demigods. And he meets all these other cool demigods, like Annabeth Chase, who's the daughter of Athena, and Grover Underwood, who's a satyr. And together, they go on all these awesome quests to save the world from, like, monsters and titans and evil gods. What I love about Percy Jackson is that it's so much fun. It's action-packed, it's hilarious, and it's full of heart. Plus, Riordan does an amazing job of bringing Greek mythology to life in a way that's both engaging and educational. Seriously, I learned so much about Greek mythology from reading these books, and I had a blast doing it. So if you're looking for a fun, fast-paced series with a great mix of mythology and adventure, definitely check out Percy Jackson. And last but definitely not least, we have the granddaddy of all fantasy series, The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Okay, this one's a classic for a reason, guys. It's the series that started it all, the one that inspired countless other fantasy books, movies, and TV shows. The Lord of the Rings is set in this magical land called Middle-earth, and it follows the epic journey of Frodo Baggins, a hobbit who's tasked with destroying the One Ring, this super powerful ring that, like, controls all the other rings and is basically the key to destroying the world. No pressure, Frodo. But, like, seriously, this series is epic in every sense of the word. The world building is insane, the characters are unforgettable, and the story is just timeless. It's a story about good versus evil, about friendship, about courage, about the power of hope. And even though it was written a really long time ago, it still holds up today. The themes are still relevant, the characters are still relatable, and the story is still just as captivating as it was when it was first published. Now, I'm not gonna lie, The Lord of the Rings is a bit of a commitment. It's 3 really long books, and it can be a little slow-paced at times. But trust me, it's worth it. It's one of those series that everyone should read at least once in their life. Thanks for watching, bookworms. I hope you enjoyed this little journey through some of the most epic book series of all time. Seriously, if you haven't read these books, what are you waiting for? Go forth and conquer those reading lists, my friends. And don't forget to let me know in the comments what some of your favorite book series are. I'm always down for a good book recommendation. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more awesome book recommendations. Happy reading!